Everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. Today in this video we are going to learn how to make this halter neck off shoulder dress design. So if that is what you want to learn how to make with a turtleneck for yourself, then keep watching this video to the very end as I give detailed explanations on how to achieve that very design. So firstly, you're starting on the basic bodice front. My neckline is on the basic, as if you want to make a shirt, right? You have your bust point line, waistline, hip line, and of course the hem of your dress, wherever you want it to start. And the darts you need are your basic waist dart and of course the side bust dart. Remember the neckline is on the basic. Do not alter it, please, because this we are going to be making a turtleneck. Now you get your sleeve. We're going to be dividing the sleeve into two, okay, from the center part of the sleeve. Now at this point, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. It is totally free. Also do well to hit the bell notification icon so YouTube notifies you first whenever I post lovely tutorials like this. Now also like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it to other sewing platforms where you feel they will be needed so other people can learn from it. Thank you. Now you join your front sleeve to this part of the armhole like so. Now to determine the depth of your off shoulder from the center part of the sleeve like so, I went ahead to mark 2 inches. Now if you want it to go deeper, you have to go down the more. Now for the front part of it, for the tape that went into the neckline, I'm going to be marking 1 inch from the center front. Okay, I'm going to be marking 1 inch from the center front. Now you want to connect this part to this part of this center front that we marked. Please, for modesty's sake, you want to pair this with a mesh top or a net top. Okay, you want to pair it with a mesh top or a net top for modesty's sake. All right, so for the width or the length of the sleeve, I'll be using 3 inches. Right, this is going to be the length of my sleeve. Now from this part of the center front, I'm going to be connecting to that 3 inches point like so. Now having done this, we have successfully drawn the design of the cape. All right, having done this, we have successfully drawn the design of the cape and also the off shoulder effect. So this is what your pattern should look like at this point. All right, so the next thing we are going to do now is to trace out the whole of that cape. Now this part that I'm marking tiny asterisks on it is going to be cut out. So because it's going to be cut out, of course we have to contour, right? Because we're going to be cutting it out, there's no fabric sitting there. We have to contour, and the contour that we need here is the shoulder contour, not the neckline contour. There are so many contours, but for this particular design we need the shoulder contour. And to get the shoulder contour, at this point of my shoulder, I'm going to be ruling a straight line to meet the bust point. I'll make that line visible with my marker so you guys can see it clearly and you will follow me in what we are doing for this tutorial. Now, having done that, the next thing we are going to do is to get a measuring tape, and from your bust point, you're going to be removing or measuring your bust arc. Your bust arc is the distance between your bust point and your under bust. So you're going to be measuring your bust arc. Now, on the bust arc is going to be sitting your half-inch dart intake for the shoulder contour dart. You're going to be connecting it from that half-inch intake for the dart to this point and back to the bust point like so. Having done that, you've successfully drawn or you've successfully added your shoulder contour dart. So the parts where I'm marking short broken lines, that is where the dart is. All right, it started from the top of that shoulder, please. I think it's the sellotape that is making it not to show clearly. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to, of course, I'll go ahead and trace out that cape. I've traced it out. Can you see? I better have to place it so you guys can see it's the exact thing that I drew. Please be artistic in your drawing. Whatever you draw is what you're going to be having. I also imputed that contour dart that went into the cape. Please do well to impute whatever dart that went into your cape. All right. Now you want to go ahead and measure this neckline, your front neckline. Okay, like you want to make a turtleneck. Of course, you measure the neckline for the front and the back. So I went ahead to measure the neckline for the front. I will write it down somewhere. Whatever I get, how many inches I get, I'll write it down somewhere and set it aside till when we are going to need it. The next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and start cutting out from the star line that we've drawn on our pattern. We'll go ahead to start cutting out Firstly, I removed that part I told you that is going off entirely, okay? I had to take it off. It's going off entirely. We do not need it. Now, the next thing we're going to do is start to remove the also the sleeve that we attached to the bodice. We have to take it out. So now that we've removed the sleeve, the bodice is on its own. So we can start working on it. The body is now on its own, so we can start working on it. So firstly, I'm going to be cutting open my side bust dart. I'll also go ahead and cut open that contour dart. Then I'll close the contour dart and transfer the dart excess to the side bust dart. Remember to tape it down nicely and firm. Make sure it's also laying flat, no bumpy whatever on the pattern. Now this very excess at the top, just cut it off or blend it to match with the initial one or initial style line that we made. And this is what it looks like. So for your waist dart, you're just going to be cutting it open. Do not worry, as we move on in this tutorial, I'll show you how to assemble everything that we have drafted. So this is what it looks like now. We're going to be taking that out. So this is what the front pattern should look like. This is what your front pattern, everything your front pattern should look like. So we'll set it aside and we'll head over to the back pattern. Now here is my back pattern. So I'm going to get the back sleeve. Just like we did for the front, we're attaching the back to the back part of the armhole like so. And having done that, I'm using my sellotape to hold it down nicely and firmly. And also make sure it's laying flat. Now we're going to be marking 1 inch from the center back, just like we did for the front at the neckline. Now on this part also, we are marking 2 inches, just like we did for the front. So everything is in uniform, right? I'm connecting this very first part of the neckline to the part of the center sleeve, like we did for the front. Then we are coming down by 3 inches, which is the length of our sleeve. Same thing we did for the front, like I said, so everything is in uniform. We're also marking this part of the neckline to that 3 inches point, okay? And by so doing, we've successfully drawn the style line or the shape of the cape for the back. Now this part of the neck, this part that we're cutting out for the back does not really need contouring, okay? We don't have to contour the back because it will not gap. But the front, of course, it needs contouring. But for the back, we do not need to contour it. It's not going to gap because it's not a deep cut, all right? It's not a deep cut for the back. So I'm going to have to trace out the cape for the back. As you can see, I showed you, and now I'm going ahead to cut out from my style line. First, I'm going to be cutting out that off-shoulder effect, sorry. I'm going to be cutting out that off-shoulder effect at the back. Now, bear in mind, if your back is a very deep cut, if your, halter neck for your back is a deep cut, of course, you have to contour, just the basic contour for the back that we also use for bustiers. But if it is not a deep cut for the back, do not bother to contour. Now, after cutting out that style line, we have to detach the sleeve from the main bodice, just like I'm doing now. Now, this is the sleeve for the back. And here is also the sleeve for the back. So you've created a basic off-shoulder sleeve. Yeah, this is a basic off-shoulder sleeve. So we'll set it aside. Now the next thing you do is to go ahead to cut out the waist dart for the back. You want to be careful while cutting your dart because, like I said, whatever you cut is what you're going to sew. Okay. Now this is what the back pattern looks like. We are going to set it aside. Now these are the two capes for the front and also for the back. Now we want to bring these two capes together to form one piece through the center sleeve. You remember that part is the center sleeve for front and back, so we've joined them together, and that is the point where we're going to bring in this cape together. Now we're going to be adding a little bit of fullness to this cape, just a little bit of flair. All right. In order to do that, we have to slash and spread. So you remember the contour that went into the cape for the front. Please do what to close it up. That is what I'm doing now. I'll go ahead and close it up. Use my sellotape and tape it down and hold it firm and nice. So having done that now, we're going to continue with our slashing. We're going to be slashing all through because we need a little bit of flair for the cape. Now, if you don't want your cape to have flair, there's no problem. You don't have to slash and spread. But if you want that little bit of flair for your cape, you have to slash and spread. Like I said, we need a little bit. So it's not like I'm spreading out so wide. We need just a little bit. So I'm spreading out very little. Sorry, I'm using a white paper. I don't know if you can see the difference between the spread. All right, now for the sleeve, also at the center, we are joining them together to form a hole. I'm using this yellow for color contrast to cut out the new sleeve, right? So this is the front, back, and the center. This is what our new sleeve looks like. I set it aside. Now let's assume that. So let's assume that you have cut out on your fabric. Now this is your fabric, right? You've placed your pattern on your fabric and you've cut out on your fabric. The first thing you want to do is to sew up your waist dart, like I'm doing right now. You're going to be sewing up your waist dart, and after sewing up your waist dart, you go ahead to sew up the side bust dart, right? On your fabric, you sew up your waist dart on the side bust dart. Remember to cut that front unfold so you have a full. All right, I'm using just half of it. So this is what it looks like after you're done sewing up your waist dart and the side bust dart for the front. Also for the back, let's assume you've cut out on your fabric 2 pieces for the back because you're going to be adding a zipper. The next thing you're going to do is to sew up your waist dart for the back. So having sewed up the waist dart for the back, this is what it should look like. Remember, 2 pieces for the back. Also attach your zipper allowance because you're going to be adding zipper to the back. Now for the sleeve, you're going to be sewing up together from the side of the sleeve. Now to join the front and the back together, right side facing right side, like we normally do, you're going to be joining them together from on the side, sorry. Make sure your right side is facing your right side. You sew at the back and turn up to the front so you have a neat finish. Just like you do the normal way. And you also go ahead after doing that to attach your sleeve, right? Go ahead to attach your sleeve after doing that. So this is the point. This is what we have after we sewed up the side and also attached our sleeve. This is what we have. Now the next thing we are going to do is to, of course, impute the what's it called, the cape, please, the cape. But before we do that for the cape, I'm going to be cutting out the turtleneck band. Remember I told you to set out the measurement you have for the neckline of the front and the back. So after I did mine, I have 6.5 inches. Okay. Now I'm using one side. You're going to be multiplying yours by 2 to get the round for the front and back because you're going to be cutting your front unfold and your back 2 pieces. So mine is just 1 piece because I'm making half of it, right? So I'm using the 6.5 like so. Now the length of my turtleneck strap or turtleneck band is 1 inch. I'm using 1 inch. I also advise you use 1 inch, but you do have to add ½ inch on the top and ½ inch below for seam allowance, making it 2 inches. But here I'm using 1 inch, okay? Now I haven't done that, I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So this is your band, the the turtleneck band, okay? Now back to our bodies, back to our dress, sorry. We're going to be attaching the cape. Make sure you're attaching the front part of the cape to the front side of the dress and the back side of the cape to the back side of the dress. Also notch the center of the cape and also the center of the sleeve. They have to align. These things have to align, please. It's better you use your pin and hold every alignment together before you go ahead and start sewing. All right, the center of the cape and the center of the off-shoulder sleeve have to be in alignment. Also, that front part of the cape and back part of the cape at the neckline have to be in alignment. Use a pin and hold it down and then go ahead and sew. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going ahead to sew all the way around the cape from the front all through to the back. So now this is what it looks like, okay? The next thing you're going to do after this is to attach your turtleneck band. All right. So like I'm doing so, you're going to be putting your turtleneck band from your front all the way to the back. Also attach a zipper allowance to the turtleneck band or a button to the turtleneck band so you can close it up. All right. So let's say your turtleneck band is 13 inches as a whole. Please put 1 inch for the zipper allowance or for button allowance for the turtleneck band. Of course, your back already has a zipper allowance. So this is what it looks like after I am done. I hope this video helped you and you learned something from this video. Like I said, do what to share to other platforms. Also, you can drop a comment in the comment section if you have any question to ask. And of course, I'll see you in my next tutorial. So this is what the back looks like. The inside of it. And of course, this is what it looks like. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.